Morency Unfiltered on the Fantasy Sports Network continues. Let's talk some AFL footy as we welcome in our AFL tipster, Myk Aussie. His website, MykAussie.com. Follow him on Twitter at Myk Aussie. Let's talk about round 12 of the AFL campaign. Myk, it's always a pleasure. How you doing?
Yeah, mate, and the death of the great Gordie Howe, the tough hockey player, reminded me of some of the great old-time Aussie Rules Football players and how tough they were. Sadly, we're in a soft world right now, mate.
You're right. Gordie Howe is old school. These guys used to walk to school 12 miles in the snow. You know, old school farmer tough. We showed the picture earlier on Game Time Decisions, but we'll show it again here, Myk. We got a picture here of Gordie Howe elbowing my uncle. Elbowing my uncle years ago, and it's out of all the pictures of Gordie Howe out there, it's amazing that somehow that picture has made it into the rotation with the great passing of the great Gordie Howe. But you're right, it was a man's game in those days, and still is a man's game in the AFL. Yet, has it changed at all, Myk? Like, do you guys say, like, oh, it used to be, like, was the tackling crazier? Was the hitting crazier in the old days? Because now you can't hit people in the head. You can't clothesline people. You can't do a lot of things in the AFL. In the old days, could you?
Oh, absolutely, mate. And I'm not going to tell my age, but yeah, I played quite a while ago, and in my dad's day, it was even rougher. I mean, guys had run the length of the field to belt someone. Now, that's not on. But Dipper, one of the Hawthorn champs, he played on the wing, and he busted his lung. He had a punctured lung. He continued the whole rest of the half of the game, kept on the field, ended up in hospital that night, and we met him down there at the US Nationals. Robert Dipper Domenico, absolutely tough legend. So there's one example of the toughness of the old days in Aussie footy. And I was wild this week, Gabe. One of the players, Phil Davis, he should be playing for LA Galaxy. His acting was so good. Another example of a bit soft these days, mate.
All right, Myk, so let's start off with the Lions and the Dockers here. We've got Brisbane and Fremantle. Brisbane, 5.5-point underdogs in this game against the Dockers. Totals 183.5. What are you saying?
Yeah, I like the Dockers. They had their first win last week. I think the Dockers to win and cover. The Lions have been terrible. It's in the Gabba, but I think the Dockers might continue and have a win. But basically, mate, that game doesn't mean too much. A couple of the very bottom teams. No,
you're right. This next game, though, does mean something between the Cats and North Melbourne. Geelong -4.5, total 179.5.
Absolute ripper. One of the games of the round, mate, and I had to seek some extra advice this week. Obviously, my dad's a bit of a Cats fan. He likes the Cats at home. He likes the Cats. And then Joel O'Brien, the former AFL Canada boss back there in Melbourne, he's a Roos fan, but he likes the Roos. So I would keep away from this game. Could go anyway. Should be an absolute ripper.
I don't want to upset Jennifer in Winnipeg, the #1 Cat fan in North America. But yeah, the Roos are 10-1, Myk. These guys don't lose very often.
No, I'm just going to go a bit of a gut feel, mate. Could go anyway. I'm just going to say the Cats are going to continue from their win last week. Roos may be a little bit overrated. I might cop some bit of abuse from that. I think the Cats might get home. Hawkins is reported one game, absolutely disgraceful exhibition of acting by the guy who hit Phil Davis. Gabe, it was so bad I did not even include you on the tweets because I did not want you to see that incident.
Well, you know, that's it. Third place Cats lost their leading goal kicker. The Kangaroos have regained Brad Scott, had a viral illness, evidently. They blew out Richmond last week. Yeah, like you would say, Myk, this is a real ripper. Tough game. I would lean with the Roos. You know, you get a 10-1 team getting points, Myk, but Geelong are much better at home, aren't they?
Yeah. Keep away, mate. Keep away unless you've had a really good night. You want to put a few dollars on it. Keep away from that game.
It's a tough game.
Just enjoy it. Just enjoy watching the game and watch two of the best teams in the AFL right now. I like both teams, so I don't really care who wins, actually, mate.
Well, this next game, Myk, is a big one between you and me, actually, because it's West Coast and Adelaide. My West Coast Eagles. And you know what? I actually bet against West Coast last week. They were playing Western. and I was getting a little bit freaked out, man. West Coast was looking real good. Man, these guys can get the ball down the field so fast, Myk, West Coast. You know, like other teams are running around, man. When West Coast are on top of their game, it's like bam, 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 and they're in scoring position. But you know, Western's a good home team. They dug down deep, and they got it done in the second half. But we all know about the West Coast Eagles. They look like world beaters, man. They look like champions when they play at home, and they kind of struggle if they're on the road. But they're at home now, laying 14.5 to your Crows.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think the Eagles will win, but this is one of those games where the Crows can win. So I would take the Crows on the plus, with the Eagles probably winning at home. Now, they haven't lost at home there in Perth, but they haven't played a top team yet at home, and the Crows are in the 8. They're sitting in number 8 spot. Nick Natanui, the great ruckman, he's doubtful with an Achilles injury, but their full forward Kennedy, he loves the bigger field, mate. So, yes, the Eagles like the bigger field, and I got to watch them last week. I watched it on TV against the Bulldogs. It was on TV here in Canada, so they're a good team. Curtis was a bit down last week, but I think Eagles just at home. But take the Crows on the plus. There you go. Should be a ripper, mate. Yeah,
it's a lot of points. It's a lot of points to lay at home. You know, they're very, very even teams. They both have 7-4 records. You go down the list statistically, and they're incredibly even. Like everything. Percentage 133. The West Coast does. Meanwhile, the Crows 127.1 points for 1,121 for West Coast, points for 1,257 for Adelaide, points against 843, 989. They're basically about as even as they get. But with that being stated, it looks like the Crows. It's a lot of points. Yeah, it's a lot of points, Myk. Even though I'm a West Coast guy. I don't want to lay 14.5 points. It's funny, they're the two very high-scoring teams here, Myk. The total's 195 points, but I've noticed it's been a lower-scoring season in the AFL this year.
Yeah, well, the weather was really bad last week, like we talked about. There was a lot of wet games, so that definitely affects it. I would presume the weather in Perth is probably going to be good, so you might want to check that a couple hours beforehand. It's a Saturday night game over there. But important game, mate, because if you finish in the top 4, you get a home field. So Crows or Eagles really want to finish in the top 4 this year. So absolutely great game, and it's a 10-year reunion of the Eagles' 2006 premiership, and there were some bad wild boys on that team, mate.
We got St. Kilda and Carlton. Blues laying 6.5 to St. Kilda. Total 176.5. We got Richmond. Richmond's laying 35 points to Gold Coast. Total's 190.5 in that match, and we've got a Sydney rivalry here, battle. We got Great Western Sydney and Sydney. Great Western Sydney, GWS -1.5 here. Myk, who do you like in these games?
I like the Sydney Swans to win that one. Will be another one of the games of the week. Two of the best teams right now, the two Sydney teams, is out there in the Giant Stadium, but I like the Swans to win that one. I like the Blues to cover well against the Saints. Nick Riewoldt out. Blues are a bit better than we thought. And I also like the Tigers to win, but dicey on the cover. So some good bets for the parlay there. Put some Blues and the Tigers in a parlay if you like.
I'm surprised that you don't like Great Western Sydney here, huh?
No, I think the experience of the Swans might get them over. They tend to beat the Sydney Giants. I mean, the Sydney Giants have only been in the league 4 or 5 years. They're playing really well, but Swans are up there, mate. They're one of the best teams this year. It's in Sydney, even though they've got to travel, maybe half an hour out to the western suburbs, maybe a bit longer. Great rivalry and a great new rivalry in Aussie Rules Football, the Sydney rivalry, because it's mainly rugby town, mate.
I got to disagree with this one. I'll take Great Western Sydney. I'll go with the Giants.
Oh, yeah, good. That's great, right?
Yeah, I'll take the Giants. 1.5. Yeah, that game's basically a pick-em. Like you said, Myk, a lot of rippers this week. That game's a close one. Carlton St. Kilda's a close one. West Coast Adelaide, big time. We got the Cats and the Roos. Big week this week, round 12.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And the last one on Monday, the Demons, I think, will just get over the Magpies. Magpies aren't too good. Mason Cox held his spot, and they dropped that Travis Cloak. So, good to see Mason Cox holding his own there, mate.
Yeah, I'll lay the 5 Looking at this, tough week this week, real tough week. A lot of games that I don't want to sit on the fence about, but you know, I almost think my best pick. I like the Giants. I like Great Western Sydney, and man, the Cats and the Roos. The Cats I got to take the Roos plus the 4 points. I'm sorry, Jennifer. I got to take a 10-1 team plus the points. West Coast Adelaide. I can't go against my boys. West Coast are going to win, but it's going to be close to the spread. We got to get out of here, Mick. Thanks for the time.
All right, great talking to you, mate. Should be a great weekend of Aussie footy. Catch it on TV, online, everywhere. You can get it online this weekend free. See you later, mate. Good luck.
Yeah, that's right. It is a free week. All the games are on free TV in Australia this week, too. I don't know. It's like a special, I don't know if it's a holiday or what the hell's going on there. But round 12, all the games on Foxtel. From what I understand, we take a quick break. We'll come right back.